Hi, my name is Giorgio, and for my project, I decided on the topic of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. I chose to talk about this topic because of my mother. From a very young age, she started training me to care more about the environment by taking me on various ocean and river cleanups. So now that my brain is programmed to be environmentally conscious, when I heard that I had to pick a topic for this project that was something I was interested in and cared about, I immediately decided on the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. So without further ado, here is my presentation. When people hear about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, they make images in their head about a huge country-sized island of garbage. But that is not the case. In reality, the patch is mostly made up of little microplastics that all have sunk into the bottom of the ocean, leaving some of the patch completely empty looking. The patch is still a huge problem that, if kept unchecked, could lead to way more serious problems. There are organizations, including the Ocean Cleanup, founded by 24-year-old Boyan Slat, that founded the organization when he was only 18, that are doing their best to try to prevent the growth of this patch. Many people like Boyan are very passionate about solving this issue and are coming up with great ideas of how to remove the garbage from the patch, but nothing has been successful so far. With the help of many engineers and scientists, we may one day be fully rid of these patches. What and where are garbage patches? Garbage patches are large spaces of the ocean where garbage and debris collect. These large masses of trash form because of rotating ocean currents known as gyres. Gyres are basically giant whirlpools that draw in everything around them. Once it is large enough of a mass, it just stays put. There are 5 patches in the world, 1 in the Indian Ocean, 2 in the Atlantic Ocean, and 2 in the Pacific Ocean. Of these 5 patches, the largest and most well-known is the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. This patch is located between Hawaii and California. The garbage in this patch is found on top of the water, but also is all the way down to the ocean floor. The trash also ranges in size, from pieces as great as a car to little microplastics as small as 5 millimeters. What kind of impact does a garbage patch have on the environment? The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is far out in the middle of the ocean, where people don't very often go. Because of this, it makes them hard to study. Scientists rarely see the impact that patches have on the environment, but so far we know that it affects our environment in 3 major ways. The first way is ghost fishing. Marine life can be harmed by a lot of debris in the patch. One form of debris that is very harmful is fishing nets. A lot of the time, these nets are called ghost nets because even though they are not used for fishing anymore, they still catch animals. These nets can entangle animals, choking them, and eventually killing them. Another is ingestion. Animals very often mistakenly eat plastic. This can be very harmful to fish and seabirds. The plastic fills up room in their stomachs, making them feel full and stopping them from eating real food, making them starve to death. Lastly, non-native species. Debris from the garbage patch can send different species across the world. Algae, barnacles, crabs, and other living things can attach themselves to pieces of garbage and ultimately end up on the other side of the world. If the transported species are an invasive and can settle easily in a new environment, it can overcrowd native species, disrupting the ecosystem. What effect do garbage patches have on human health? Honestly, we don't know whether or how garbage patches are affecting human health. We do know that we may be exposed to microplastics via salt, seafood, tap water, beer, and honey. However, we do not know if or how that impacts human health. Plastic microfibers can also be transported from the patch to the air and are found in household dust, so being exposed to microplastics in food and beverages may be small in comparison. Scientists are very worried about this, and they are researching it at this very moment. What happens if nothing changes? The answer is that we do not know. The size and place of these garbage patches are not likely to change in a very long time. The amount of debris will increase over time. As more and more trash enters our oceans, it will find its way to the patch. The growth in the patch will most likely worsen impacts on the environment, navigation, vessel safety, and the economy. How do we get rid of garbage patches? It probably isn't completely possible to get rid of this garbage patch. Some materials will take a very long time to break down in the environment, while other materials, such as plastics, will never fully go away. Larger pieces, like fishing nets, can be removed by hand, but most of the patch is made up of microplastics, which are a lot harder to get rid of. The garbage is also being constantly mixed by the wind and currents and is spread all the way from the top of the ocean to the very bottom. Since these microplastics are being constantly mixed and spread out, it is very difficult to remove them. If we want to prevent debris from going into the ocean constantly, we need to understand where all of the garbage is coming from. For example, if you think about an overflowing sink, the first step is to turn off the tap before you clean up the water. If we want to turn off the tap, we need to go to the source of the problem, which is mainly single-use plastics, and twist the tap. Once we've done that, we can start to clean up the garbage that is already in the ocean. So during my research, I discovered that because of this massive garbage patch, many seabirds are dying. So I decided to do a representation of a seagull for my tangible experience. I found out that 90% of dead seabirds have been found to have eaten plastic. An average of 38.6 pieces of plastic was found per bird. According to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, globally, up to 1 million seabirds and 100,000 marine mammals and sea turtles die each year from eating plastic. After hearing that, I asked my mentor, Eben Schwartz, what people could start doing to slow the growth of garbage patches, and he told me this. The most basic thing people can do is look at what they are consuming every day. And I don't mean the food that they are eating, I mean what packaging that food comes in. The biggest single source of pollution in our oceans is food and beverage packaging waste. So you look at the bag that your chips come in, you look at the bottle that your drink came in, and you think to yourself, how can I replace this with something more sustainable? Do I need a plastic water bottle, or can I drink water from the tap? It is very easy once you start examining your own habits to find ways to make a significant difference. So I also made a poster, which is very simple, just a title and some information, but I also have this image here where this is a garbage patch, and this is California, and this is Hawaii, and you can see in these more outer layers, that is where the garbage is more thinly spread, and as it gets closer and closer to here, at this point in the red, that is where the garbage is more close together and clumped up and consistent. And that's the part of it that people are like, it's a massive island of garbage. But this is the highest concentration of plastic, but most of it is just widely spread out from the top of the ocean to the bottom layer. So, thank you very much for watching my presentation. I hope that you enjoyed it, and remember to stay safe.